Hey everybody, this is the Chinchilla Pickin. We're doing a quick breakout session today. This is not gonna be a full show, so we're gonna kind of mess up the routine here. It's just gonna be a quick 5-10 minutes, and it's because we're doing a full show later in the week, but we don't want to leave you guys empty-handed. We want to keep giving you guys information and go over some things. And so let's make this quick, but let's get right into the meat. Right, let's cut out the fluff. I am still here, Brandon Beaver. He's a little under the weather. Luckily, we do this via Zoom, so we actually are not in the same room here, but I'm going to do most of the talking. He'll chime in when he sees it, deems it necessary, if you will. Let's talk about this infrastructure bill that just got passed. Everything went through on Monday, and what actually got passed on Sunday night over the weekend. Blah blah blah. Monday morning, everything hits and everything starts moving up really fast. Right? People start going into the names you're going to think of, which is BLNK. Over Monday and Tuesday, BLNK went all the way up to $40, but then BLNK came all the way back down. That was strictly a day trade for people. They were just taking profit, making money off of it. Everybody made a little bit of money this week. You had that trade. I've been channeling cooler all week, but let's talk about BLNK, and because there's other companies besides BLNK, but I'm going to use BLNK as an example. Right, the infrastructure bill passes. People get this great news and they want to go ahead and jump into these companies. So you don't buy the news, right? Nobody ever buys the news. Should always be sell the news. I went on a rant like 7 months ago about this. Like, we don't buy news. You sell the news. You should already be thinking this is priced into this price point. Well, people bought the news. Some people made money because if they got in early at 32, 31, which is what I think where it was sitting before, went all the way up to 40. They sold, they got out, they made a good profit. Good. I'm happy for them. I want everybody to make money. However, some people were thinking that this was going to go on forever and this is a good long-term buy right now. And they bought in around that 38, 39 because someone has to buy if someone's selling, and they're buying in at that mark, and then they're losing out right now, right? The reason is, and Brandon brought this up ahead of time. Sorry for to steal your thunder here, Brandon, but your voice isn't 100% right. So the Brandon brought this up is that a lot of these companies aren't going to see a big chunk of this money for years. So why are you buying a stock right now, expecting that huge return on next quarter's earnings report? That's not how it's really going to happen. But it is. Does it make it a good long-term play? Sure, it's a great long-term play.
Depends on what you're buying.
Yeah, well, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking BLNK because I was using that as the example. But yeah, there are other companies that maybe aren't great long-term plays. In my mind, BLNK is a great long-term play. By long-term, I'm talking a year or more, if that's how long you're willing to hold it. Now, as far as a day trade or a swing trade, I think you need to watch the macroeconomics of the environment right now, see how everything's feeling. Right now, the market took a tumble today. All the news stories I saw on Fidelity, CNBC, and all the other news services that I use were blaming the inflationary news as far as a reason for the sell-off. And it could be, people could be worried about inflation, and that could be a concern with all the consumer prices jumping up today and being reported jumping up. That could definitely be a cause for people to sell off, because now it's going to be harder for the consumers. People are going to have a bad holiday season is what it's looking like, because people can't afford all these prices. So we need either better deals from the retailers, which means the retailers make less money, or we need inflation to change and prices come down, and the consumer has more money on hand then. And it's a little late in the game to make any major changes to that. So I think we're kind of stuck where we're at, and we have to see how this plays out. I'm cautious about how this holiday season is going to be. I'm not going to call it one way or the other. I'm very cautious. I'm pessimistic, but I'm cautious. Meaning I still think there's hope for a good holiday season. I'm not seeing it is my concern.
Yeah. Well, the thing is when our shortage is going to clear up, and that whoever you're listening to, they're saying something different. Usually if you're listening into the conference calls and listening to the CEOs talk, some are saying they'll clear up within the quarter, which would be very surprising to me. But it may happen. But others are saying they're going all the way through the end of next year. It just depends on who you're listening to. So if the shortages start to clear up, especially with the semiconductors, then we might have a good holiday season. But if they don't, then you're still going to have shortages. You're still going to have inflation driving prices higher. This morning's inflation reading was the highest it's been in 30 years.
And that's scary. That's something to really think about. And that would make me sell out if I was a long-term holder of some of these companies. I would be concerned about where my future is. I tell you what, I'm going to be honest to our listeners right now is I did take out all my principal and a lot of my profit out in NVIDIA. I left a little bit of profit in there for the long term.
NVIDIA skyrocketed, but some of these other semiconductor companies, I would even say NVIDIA is still good for long term.
Yeah, I left a little bit of profit on the table, but I took most of it out.
People are worried about peak demand, but if we are heading in this direction of driverless cars and the metaverse, we're just going to need more and more and more and more of these semiconductors. So Taiwan Semiconductors, AMD, even NVIDIA, I think a lot of these moves have been very justified. But, if you're an NVIDIA and if you got in when Dave called it months ago, you've made a lot of money. In fact, you've doubled.
Over 50%. Yeah, over 50%.
Well, you've almost made 5 times what a normal mutual fund manager would make on their overall portfolio. So there's no shame in taking money here at all. Another company that we called months ago was Jacobs Engineering, based on infrastructure. I think at the time, the price to earnings ratio was around 28 or 29. Now it's above 40. So if you've bought that and you haven't sold it yet, now's the time to sell it. I just get out of it. I wouldn't even be playing the infrastructure sector right now, unless you find an individual stock that has somehow still some good value left in it. I wouldn't touch it. I think it's too hot. Now, I have an exception to your sell the news thing. So sometimes a lot of people love to sell Apple on the day they announce a new iPhone. And every once in a while, with events like that, you'll get such pressure on the stock that it'll bring it down to a good value. And at that point, then you can jump in and buy it for the long term. That's my exception to that. But otherwise, yes,
But the news caused it to go down. And so
Yeah.
they sold the news. And so now you're taking advantage because it went down further than what it should have been.
right.
It dropped below a certain price point that you're watching for, and it hit that mark and you bought in.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I want to keep this short. We promised you just a short little breakout session. So let's keep it to that. One last thing. I have to mention this because I posted on the Instagram. Cooler. We have been day trading it here at Chinchilla Pickin' between a certain range, and it's been working for us. When you start to channel a stock, be careful, because at any moment that stock could either break out or break below. So always be mindful. Watch it like a hawk if that's what you're doing, because they never stay in a channel forever. Eventually they break out one way or another. So watch the news, be careful, keep an eye on it, be ready to hit that trigger whenever you need to. Brandon, anything else?
That's all I got.
All right, guys, we thank you for listening. We hope to have a full show for you later on this week. Just give us a listen. We'll be out in a couple days with a full show. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night. If you've listened to our podcast before, you know that we are good friends with the Money Vikings, and we think that they have a lot of good knowledge and, just a wealth of knowledge to offer. About 60 years worth of knowledge and trading experience between the three, between Greg, Bob, and Jerry. Now, I have some good news for you, because they have announced a premium program. It's the Money Vikings MVP premium content. Okay? And I have to tell you this right now. If you're new to the market, you have got to have somebody to mentor you through it, because 75% of all new market entrants will lose all of their money in the first year, and you have to have somebody that will guide you through it to prevent you from making these mistakes that most people do. And with this MVP access, this premium content, you will get direct access to Greg, Bob, and Jerry on Discord. That's the most important feature of this program, in my opinion. They do also have access, well, they will give you access to other things such as hot trades, weekly newsletters, technical analysis. Hey, it's ad free. That's cool too, right? Guides and tutorials, tools and custom technical indicators, exclusive analytics and informative articles, and then, as I said, exclusive direct access to Greg, Jerry, and Bob, who have over 60 years of experience between them. Now, if you listen to this podcast, you need to get a pencil and you need to get a paper and you need to write this down because you get 25% off. Once you go to moneyvikings.com and you sign up, you'll get to enter in this code. It's capital TMVP1CK1NS. That is all capital TMVP1CK1NS. An easy way to remember that is TMV Pickens, but the one replaces the I. So go to moneyvikings.com, claim your discount for being a Chinchilla Picking Podcast listener, and conquer your financial freedom.